Marcus bought the diamond necklace named Heart of Fire for an astronomical price. As he was about to give the necklace to me, Tiffany, the venture magnate's daughter, stopped him. Marcus, that promise you owe me, let this make up for it. The entire room fell silent, waiting to see how the socialite would be rebuffed. After all, I was his officially acknowledged girlfriend, but placed the necklace around her neck. And just like that, I became the joke. Marcus whispered to me apologetically, "Grace, Tiffany's always been a free spirit. Don't take her seriously, just be a little lenient with her." As I watched his gaze never leave Tiffany, a cold laugh rose within me. I didn't want this boyfriend anymore, she could have him. "Marcus, this necklace would be even more perfect with a matching pair of emerald earrings." Tiffany, leaning against the bar, proposed her request with a charming smile. Marcus's eyes showed indulgence. "I'll have someone arrange it." Coincidentally, the pair of emerald earrings he had custom ordered had just been delivered to my private suite. My socialite circle watched, and it was clear Tiffany was doing this on purpose. Marcus walked towards me. "Grace, could Tiffany wear that necklace for just one night? The necklace doesn't quite suit you, anyway. Next time, I'll bid on a sapphire one for you." His gentle tone, to others, would have seemed utterly considerate. But everyone knew the significance of that necklace. Because before the auction began, he had grandly announced to me, "Grace, I'll bid on the Heart of Fire for you, as our anniversary gift." His words still rang true, yet that fiery red glow was already in Tiffany's hands. She smugly swirled her wine glass, her voice just loud enough for me to hear. "Ms. Grace isn't happy? What a shame. I was hoping to wear it home to show my dad." Marcus's gaze flickered. Tiffany's father was a venture magnate, what businessman wouldn't be tempted? "Go to Ms. Grace's private suite and fetch those earrings." Marcus gave the command to his assistant. "Wait," I said, stopping him. Marcus, assuming I disagreed, his face darkened. "Grace, what are you doing? It's just a pair of earrings. Let's have this pair first. You're Sterling City's top socialite. Don't get a reputation for being petty and unsophisticated over something so trivial." He labeled me as such, leaving no room for argument. I looked at my assistant, Lena. "Lena, go return the earrings Mr. Marcus gave me, and that Patek watch, to Mr. Marcus. Oh, and by the way, bring the receipts for those designer gowns as well, and give them to Ms. Tiffany." Marcus's face turned completely dark. "Are you deliberately trying to publicly humiliate me? With such a disposition, how could you ever be the mistress of the Sterling family?" I chuckled softly. "The family? Why would I want to marry into the Sterling family? Mr. Marcus and I have no engagement, nor any promises. It's only right that I return the things you gave me." Marcus and I had indeed never been officially engaged. It was just that both sets of parents had hinted at it often, and everyone in our social circles had tacitly assumed it. I, the only daughter of the Prescott family, was destined to be Mrs. Sterling. Now, it seemed, it was nothing but a joke. "Marcus," his pride wounded, his tone hardened, "since you don't want it, don't regret it later." Tiffany walked over and naturally linked her arm through his. "Marcus, are all the socialites in Sterling City this boring? Why bother getting upset with them? Why don't you join me for a drink at the Sky Lounge upstairs?" She smiled, holding on to Marcus's arm, and walked directly through the crowd towards the elevator. Her clear laughter was like an invisible slap, echoing across the faces of every socialite present. "Tiffany is far too arrogant. Her father's company just went public, that's all, right? Everyone in this circle knows about Grace and Mr. Marcus's relationship. She's utterly shameless. He doesn't act like a poised young woman at all, throwing herself at him and making a scene." Tiffany had returned to the country 3 months ago with her father, chairman. Her father's company had achieved great success abroad and was now a hot commodity in the financial circles. Marcus had, therefore, spent time with Tiffany in Sterling City on several occasions. At first, every time he met with Tiffany, he would complain to me, "That has no manners at all, she was playing drinking games with people at a casual diner. Tiffany is too wild. Grace, you are so quiet and gentle, truly an example of a poised young woman." Later, his tone gradually changed, and he would say with a smile, "She's probably just young and always causes a little trouble, just go easy on her. She even beat some trust fund kids in street racing. She's quite interesting. She also had drinking contests and got so drunk she insisted I take her home. There's just no doing anything with her." His voice was full of helpless indulgence. Now, at this auction, she was just as unconventional, yet Marcus couldn't take his eyes off her. Everything had quietly changed. Marcus and Tiffany went to the Sky Lounge and didn't reappear. Until the gala dinner began, hosted by Marcus's mother, Mrs. Eleanor. Marcus's seat remained empty. After waiting for nearly 20 minutes, Marcus finally arrived late, leading Tiffany by the hand. Tiffany wore the heart of fire diamond necklace around her neck, and the emerald earrings adorned her ears. Mrs. Eleanor's face instantly turned cold when she saw the jewelry set. She had heard rumors about what happened this afternoon, but witnessing it firsthand was far more impactful than any rumor. She spoke in a low voice, "Marcus, your seat is next to Grace. Come and sit down quickly." Hearing this, Tiffany acted coyly, shaking Marcus's arm. Marcus pondered for a moment, then said to Mrs. Eleanor, "Mom, Tiffany just returned from abroad. I'll sit with her and introduce her arrow." UND. A young lady at the table couldn't help but laugh aloud. Miss Tiffany didn't just return from abroad today. Why is she acting like she's never seen the world before? Tiffany's face changed, and she sharply retorted, "Shut up. Marcus is talking, do you have a right to interrupt?" That young lady was the daughter of the Hengxing's chairman, and she was no pushover. She hardened her face. "Miss Tiffany, stop throwing your weight around. What do you think this place is? This is a gala dinner hosted by Mrs. Eleanor, not your backyard. Mr. Marcus hasn't even spoken yet. Who are you to talk to me like that? The future Mrs. Sterling hasn't said a word yet, so what do you think you are?" All eyes in the room instantly focused on me. Tiffany's tears came on cue. Her hands trembling, she unfastened the necklace from her neck. She held it out to me in both hands. "I'm sorry, Grace. If you wanted this necklace, you should have just said so. Why make your friends ostracize me like this and make me feel humiliated?" I was speechless. What did this have to do with me? I hadn't said a word the entire time. Marcus stepped forward, pulling her into his embrace. He glared at me furiously. "Grace, I thought you were a gracious and magnanimous woman, but I never knew you were so manipulative. It's just a necklace, and you'd use such underhanded tactics to publicly humiliate Tiffany. With such a disposition, how could you ever be worthy of the position of Mrs. Sterling? If you insist on being so petty and calculating, I won't agree to a business alliance between our two families. Apologize to Tiffany now. If she's willing to forgive you, then we can discuss our future plans." Marcus's words made everyone's face change. Mrs. Eleanor sharply ordered, "Marcus, stop it." She looked at him with the disappointment of someone who sees a wasted talent. "You were the one who wanted to bid on the necklace as a gift for Grace, but then you turned around and gave it to another girl. Now you're harshly accusing Grace. Have you thought about where her dignity goes?" Marcus looked at me with a cold sneer. "I never knew you were so capable, that you could even get my mother to speak up for you." Tiffany's eyes were red-rimmed, her hands tightly clutching the necklace. "It's all my fault for making Mrs. Eleanor angry and Miss Grace unhappy. I should just leave." As she spoke, she thrust the necklace into Marcus's hand and turned to leave. Marcus grabbed her arm. "Don't go, Tiffany." He held Tiffany's hand tightly and walked to the center of the ballroom. Then, he looked up, directly at Mrs. Eleanor. "Mom, Grace and I were never engaged. I've only just realized what I truly like. I don't like those so-called socialites who are bound by convention. They're like puppets, lifeless. It wasn't until I met Tiffany that I realized I preferred lively, passionate, interesting girls like her. I've already confessed my feelings to Tiffany. I want to marry her and make her my wife. Please grant your wish." The socialites present all looked at me with sympathetic eyes. Although I had no engagement, all of Sterling City's upper class knew implicitly. The future Mrs. Sterling would only be me, Grace of the Prescott family. Marcus's words today were tantamount to publicly humiliating both the Prescott and Sterling families. Mrs. Eleanor angrily slammed the table. "Nonsense. The matter of marriage cannot be handled so recklessly by you. Can you truly make decisions about your own marriage?" Marcus stiffened his neck. "Why can't I make decisions about my own marriage? I know you like Grace. I can let her stay at Sterling as a project partner. That wouldn't be a hardship for her." "There's no need." I interrupted him, walked forward, took the heirloom bracelet from my wrist, and offered it with both hands. "Thank you for your kindness, Mrs. Eleanor. Please take back this bracelet you personally gave me. Mr. Marcus and Ms. Tiffany are truly in love. I, Grace, am unwilling to be stealing someone's beloved." Marcus immediately echoed, looking at Mrs. Eleanor. "Mom, would you even deny your son the right to marry the woman he loves? If I can't even marry the person I want, what's the point of being the heir apparent?" He turned to me, showing a rare trace of pleasantness. "Grace, once Tiffany marries into the family, I'll arrange a strategic partnership between the Prescott and Sterling families. Then your position in the project will be second only to Tiffany's. How does that sound?" My mother, Laura, had already reached her breaking point. Her face ashen, she stood up and took a step forward. Thank you for your high regard, Mr. Marcus, but my Grace is not destined to be. I'm afraid a partnership with the Sterling family is not possible. I had originally intended to clarify this with Mrs. Eleanor tonight at the gala dinner. Please grant your wish, Mrs. Eleanor, and take back the heirloom bracelet. Mother stood by my side. I immediately understood, straightened my back, my gaze firm. Please grant your wish, Mrs. Eleanor. Mrs. Eleanor let out a long sigh, closed her eyes, and wearily waved her hand. Enough. It's an ill-fated entanglement. All of you, leave. Back at the Prescott, father, Mr. Charles, was so enraged he smashed an antique tea set. If the Sterling family hadn't been dragging their feet all this time, would my daughter have had to wait until now? How many eligible bachelors in Sterling City are lining up to marry my Prescott daughter? What a Marcus! So heartless and quick to turn his back. The family merely caught a lucky break. Do they really think they've ascended to greatness overnight? My daughter deserves the best man in this world. Within days, news of Marcus and Tiffany's engagement spread throughout Sterling City. The family's home was bustling with guests, enjoying unprecedented prestige for a time, becoming the target of various powerful figures currying favor with. Mrs. Eleanor's birthday banquet was held at the Sterling. I accompanied my mother, Laura. Too lazy to deal with the other ladies, I went with a few close friends to chat by the fountain in the garden. I wonder if Ms. Grace has anyone special in mind now. If not, I can ask Marcus to introduce you to some eligible bachelors. A voice interrupted my thoughts. It was Tiffany. She was wearing a fiery red evening gown, her hair adorned with diamonds, exuding opulent wealth. Around her neck was the very heart of fire diamond necklace. And on her wrist, conspicuously, was the heirloom bracelet I had returned to Mrs. Eleanor. I looked at her, a hint of sarcasm curving my lips. No matter how desperate I might be, I would never eagerly settle for a hand-me-down. Oh, pardon me, I forgot. Miss Tiffany's marriage was exactly that, settling for a hand-me-down. Tiffany's face turned pale with rage. She sharply retorted, "What did you say? Are you being sarcastic with me?" Suddenly, her expression shifted, full of smug triumph. So what? I'm not like you, pretending to be aloof and composed when you clearly wanted to be Mrs. Sterling. What I despise most are socialites like you, vain and pretentious. It's truly laughable. One of my friends couldn't help but speak up. Not everyone is like you, stealing someone else's boyfriend and acting self-righteous about it. Tiffany glared at her. How dare you talk back? Guards! Get her out of here. I stood up and stopped her. Miss Tiffany, you are not Mrs. Sterling yet. Please watch your words. Tiffany was furious. After all, she hadn't been raised to follow rules, so she immediately lunged. A slap came flying, landing hard on my face. With a loud smack, my cheek instantly swelled and turned red. My friends gasped. What are you doing? Marcus quickly walked over from behind. Tiffany immediately threw herself into his arms. Marcus, Grace was jealous of me. That's why I struck her. I really didn't mean to. I know I don't understand the customs of Sterling City, but why shouldn't humiliate me like this? Grace is a socialite heiress, but she can't go throwing her weight around because of her family connections. Her twisting the truth left my friends nearby stunned. She was crying theatrically. Marcus frowned, looking at me. Grace, apologize to Tiffany. What has gotten into you? Is the Prescott family's upbringing to use such underhanded tactics to bully people? I told you long ago that our two families would continue to cooperate. What else do you want? I walked step by step towards them. I'm throwing my weight around? You want me to apologize? Tiffany straightened up from Marcus's embrace, lifted her chin, her eyes gleaming with triumph. With her back to Marcus, she mouthed to me, "You lost." I smiled coldly. The next second, I raised my hand and slapped her with all my might. I slapped Tiffany squarely across one side of her face. The crisp sound echoed through the marble-paved garden, even drowning out the distant splashing of the fountain. Everyone froze. Tiffany clutched her face, staring at me in disbelief. A few seconds later, she shrieked, "How dare you hit me? Grace, you be *tch. She lunged at me, claws outstretched, but Marcus held her back firmly. Enough. Marcus's roar was laced with an unprecedented grimness. His gaze at me was like an ice-tempered blade. Grace, have you lost your mind? I calmly withdrew my hand, even smoothing out a slight wrinkle in my cuff. My cold gaze met his. You were the one who told me to apologize to her. I'm a narrow-minded person, I don't like verbal apologies. I prefer to settle things directly. She slapped me, and I slapped her back. We're even. My friend's eyes gleamed with satisfaction, while the surrounding socialites watching the spectacle wore expressions of both shock and excitement. Grace, Sterling City's top socialite, always known for her poise and elegance, had actually engaged in a public physical altercation. This was far more thrilling than any auction. Tiffany was still struggling in Marcus's arms, wailing, "Marcus, look at her. She doesn't have any respect for me, or for you. You have to do something." Marcus's face was ashen. Shielding behind him, he advanced towards me step by step. "Grace, I order you to immediately, right now, kneel down and apologize to Tiffany." "Kneel?" I chuckled softly, as if I'd heard the most ridiculous joke. "Mr. Marcus, have you forgotten that you hold no authority over me now? By what right do you command me?" "Because I'm the heir apparent of the Sterling family, and because of the many years of friendship between our two families." He practically bit out the words. "If you don't apologize today, all collaborations between the Prescott and Sterling families will immediately cease." He thought this was my weakness, the Prescott family's Achilles heel. "Very well." A steady, authoritative voice came from behind me. My father, Mr. Charles, and my mother, Laura, were standing there. I didn't know when they arrived. Their faces were even darker than Marcus's. Father took hold of my shoulder, pulling me behind him, his gaze like a torch as he stared at Young, you have quite a nerve. I, Mr. Charles, am stating it plainly here today. From this moment forward, my Prescott family and the Sterling family shall sever all ties, and all business dealings are hereby terminated." These words struck like thunder, causing an uproar among the assembled guests. The Sterling families were deeply entrenched in Sterling City, one of the most stable alliances in the business world, with interests running into hundreds of billions. Father, for my sake, was willing to cut ties just like that. Marcus was also stunned. He had probably never imagined that uncle, usually so mild-mannered, could be so resolute. Mrs. Eleanor hurried over, her face pale at the sight of the tense standoff. "Mr. Charles, Marcus is young and hot-headed. He was just speaking in anger. Please don't take it seriously." My mother, Laura, coldly interrupted her. "Mrs. Eleanor, we are taking it seriously. Your good son, for the sake of this woman, ordered my daughter to kneel in public. This humiliation, my Prescott family will remember. From this day forward, our two families will have nothing more to do with each other." With that, she took my hand, not sparing Marcus a glance. "Grace, let's go home." The three of us, under countless complex gazes, walked out of the Sterling with our heads held high. The car smoothly pulled away. As I watched the receding city lights outside the window, the stinging pain on my cheek finally became clear. Mother held my hand, her eyes red-rimmed. "Does it hurt? Let's have a doctor look at it when we get home." I shook my head, leaning on her shoulder. "Mom, I'm not hurting. I just feel that these past few years of our relationship were nothing but a joke." Father looked at me through the rearview mirror and said in a deep voice, "No, this isn't a joke. It's a lesson. Grace, remember that what allows you to stand tall is never a man's love, but your own strength and confidence. Starting tomorrow, come to the company. Dad will teach you how to truly become someone who is out of his league." My heart trembled. The confusion in my eyes gradually dissipated, replaced by a determination I had never known before. Marcus, Tiffany, this was just the beginning. The news of the Prescott and Sterling families' fallout was like an earthquake of magnitude 8, shaking Sterling City's entire business community overnight. The next morning, Prescott stock plunged at opening, and all sorts of speculations and rumors ran rampant. Father, Mr. Charles, pushed back against all objections at the board meeting, forcefully announcing the unilateral termination of all cooperation projects with subsidiaries under Sterling, even if it meant paying exorbitant breach of contract fees. This decision was nothing short of financial suicide. Many people said that chairman had gone mad, willing to bet the entire family's future for his daughter's dignity. And I became the center of this storm, the spoiled, arrogant, impulsive, and willful cause of all this trouble. Just as the outside world was waiting to see the Prescott family become a laughingstock, I made my first appearance at an executive meeting of Prescott, in the capacity of special to the chairman. The atmosphere in the conference room was so heavy it felt like it could drip water. "Grace, these are the project documents for the towers." Father pushed a thick file across the table to me. "This is our deepest collaboration project with the Sterling family, a landmark building in the East Side. The family is responsible for construction, and we are for the subsequent commercial operations. The project is now in its final stages. If we unilaterally withdraw, the losses would be immeasurable." I flipped through the documents. Every page of the project proposal had once borne Marcus's annotations. Those familiar handwritings now seemed only sarcastic. "Dad, we're not withdrawing," I said, closing the file. I looked up, my gaze sweeping over every director present. "Not only are we not withdrawing, but we're going to take back the entire project." A senior director frowned. "Ms. Grace, that's probably not realistic. Sterling won't give up such a lucrative opportunity." I smiled slightly, took another file from my assistant Lena's hand, and distributed it to everyone. "Gentlemen, please look at this. These are the documents I compiled overnight. Sterling cash flow has been tight recently. To secure an overseas new energy project, they misappropriated project funds from the towers. Marcus handled this very cleverly, but it's not foolproof." I pointed to several bank statements and contract copies on the large screen. "This is a high-stakes wager they signed with Cayman abroad. If the new energy project fails to generate expected returns within 3 months, they will not only lose project control but also face an exorbitant compensation claim from Cayman. At that point, Sterling capital shortfall will be an astronomical figure." Everyone was stunned. They looked at me as if I were a stranger. When did the Prescott family's socialite heiress, who only attended galas and admired jewelry, become so well-versed in business operations? "You mean?" A glint flashed in Father's eyes. Pulling the rug out from under them, I said calmly, "We'll immediately contact Cayman, they are Chairman's old rivals. We can acquire their high-stakes wager at a premium, becoming Marcus's new creditors. At the same time, we'll report Sterling for misappropriating project funds to the regulatory authorities. With this two-pronged approach, Marcus will be too preoccupied to deal with anything else and will be forced to divest all equity in the towers to plug the hole." The entire conference room was silent. After a long pause, Father was the first to applaud, his eyes full of approval and pride. "Excellent. We'll proceed as Grace suggested." For the next few days, I was incredibly busy. During the day, I handled mountains of documents at the company, and in the evenings, I attended various corporate galas to re-establish the connections that the Sterling family had severed. I no longer wore elaborate evening gowns. Instead, I donned sharp power suits, navigating the world of power and prestige in high heels, composed and efficient, like a female warrior in armor. Meanwhile, Marcus and Tiffany were finally having their engagement banquet. The banquet was exceptionally lavish, held in the as-yet unfinished rooftop garden of the towers, seemingly declaring their victory to all of Sterling City. On the day of the engagement banquet, I sent them a grand gift. Cayman's legal notice and the regulatory inquiry from the supervisory authority were simultaneously delivered to Marcus's office desk. I could imagine the marvelous expression on Marcus's face when he received these two documents. At the peak of his life's triumphs. Lena reported to me, Mr. Marcus flipped the table right then and there. Ms. Tiffany was scared stiff. I heard the latter half of their engagement banquet was spent in endless arguments. I took a sip of coffee, watching Prescott's stock chart outside the window. The green line had begun to slowly rise, tracing a beautiful red uptrend. I parted my lips slightly and said calmly, "Tell Capital, it's time to reel them in." Sterling crisis erupted with devastating speed. Once the scandal of misappropriating project funds was confirmed, it not only triggered a stock market crash but also led to banks recalling loans and partners collectively turning against them. The towers, a project once heralded as Sterling City's new landmark, became a hot potato overnight. Marcus was overwhelmed with anxiety, seeking help everywhere, but was met with rejection at every turn. His former sworn brothers now avoided him like the plague. Business was like a battlefield, no one would stake their fortune on a sinking ship. And the lucky star he thought would bring him endless assistance had now become his biggest problem. She didn't understand business negotiations, she only knew how to cry, make a scene, and accuse. "Marcus, why don't you go to my dad? As long as he's willing to help, this small problem can definitely be solved." Tiffany threw a fit in Marcus's office, smashing an expensive antique vase. Marcus wearily massaged his temples, his voice full of suppressed anger. "I did go. Chairman said that venture capital money isn't like a bank. He won't risk his company's reputation to fill Sterling financial hole." "How could that be? He dotes on me so much." Tiffany couldn't accept it. "You must not have explained it clearly. Do you think I've embarrassed you, so you don't want to ask my dad?" "Enough." Marcus slammed the table, his bloodshot eyes glaring at her. "What else can you do besides cause me trouble? If it weren't for you, how well I have fallen out with the Prescott family to this extent. Grace, at least she wouldn't just add to the chaos at a time like this." Tiffany froze, then erupted into even sharper wails. You regret it? Marcus, you're actually yelling at me because of that woman. Have you forgotten how she publicly assaulted me? The arguments in the office quickly spread throughout Sterling City's upper social circles. The once envied perfect couple had now become a pair of estranged lovers. Meanwhile, I was on the top floor of the towers, discussing the subsequent construction plan with the new project contractor. Ms. Grace, your plan truly shows great vision. The head of the new collaborating party was Leo, a renowned architect from abroad, a refined man with an artist's focused gaze. He looked at my revised design drawings, his eyes filled with admiration. Transforming the top floor into an open-air sky-high art gallery, that idea is far more ambitious than Mr. Marcus's original private club concept. I smiled. I want the towers to become Sterling City's artistic landmark, not a playground for the wealthy few. Just as I was speaking, my cell phone rang. It was an unknown number. I answered, and Marcus's hoarse voice came from the other end. Grace, let's meet. I couldn't even be bothered to ask how he got my new number. I simply replied with two indifferent words, I'm busy. I'm downstairs at the towers. His voice held a hint of stubbornness. I know you're up there. Grace, I'm begging you, just 10 minutes. I paused for a moment, glancing at Leo beside me. He considerately gestured for me to go ahead. I walked to the floor-to-ceiling window and looked down. In the plaza downstairs, Marcus's car was parked alone. He leaned against the car door, his figure appearing particularly desolate in the fading sunlight. Once upon a time, he had stood here, equally spirited, pointing at this unfinished building, telling me, Grace, once this is built, the top floor will be our home. Now, things had changed, and people were no longer the same. I eventually went down. When he saw me, his eyes instantly lit up. He quickly walked forward. Grace, you're willing to see me. In just half a month, he had become much more haggard. Greenish stubble had appeared on his chin, and his expensive suit was wrinkled. Speak quickly if you have something to say, I said, my tone distant. He took a velvet box from his pocket, opened it, and the heart of fire diamond necklace lay quietly inside. This was always meant for you, he said, trying to hand me the necklace. Tiffany and I were not compatible. Grace, can we start over? If you just say yes, the Prescott and Sterling families can still be the closest allies, and we'll certainly overcome these current difficulties together. I looked at him, and suddenly found it utterly ridiculous. Mr. Marcus, have you perhaps misunderstood something? I stepped back, avoiding the necklace he offered. It was you who, in front of everyone, said I wasn't worthy of being Mrs. Sterling. Now you want me to come back and clean up your mess? The sarcasm on my lips deepened. What makes you think I'd ever come back? Your ridiculous, deep affection, or this diamond that someone else has already worn? His face instantly turned ashen, and the hand holding the necklace froze in midair. Marcus, remember this, I told him, every word clear. Grace, never pick up what others have discarded, be it a necklace or a man. With that, I turned and left, without the slightest hesitation. Behind me, I heard the sound of glass shattering. That heart of fire diamond, once a sensation across the city, was violently smashed to the ground by him, its shattered diamond scattering, reflecting a last, pitiful gleam in the twilight. Marcus's failed plea for reconciliation became the last straw that broke the camel's back. Sterling financial crisis fully erupted, with banks' forced liquidation orders arriving one after another. To save the company, Marcus had no choice but to start selling off assets, including most of his real estate and luxury goods. As for the Chung family, far from offering help, they were eager to distance themselves from the Sterling family. Tiffany's father, the shrewd venture magnate, stated publicly that Tiffany and Marcus's engagement was merely a youthful dalliance and not to be taken seriously. Overnight, Tiffany transformed from the highly coveted future Mrs. Sterling back into that wild girl with nothing but money. Unwilling to give up, she ran to the Sterling building, wanting to win Marcus back, but was stopped by security at the entrance. Marcus, you coward, get out here. She was throwing a fit downstairs, attracting countless onlookers. What was once considered her lively and interesting true nature, in her downfall, was reduced to nothing but annoying ugliness. Marcus never ended up seeing her. This farce, sparked by a diamond necklace, ultimately concluded in a humiliating double defeat. I saw Tiffany again at a charity gala dinner. She was no longer the center of attention, adored by all, but instead, she was huddled alone in a corner, her eyes fixed on me with venom. The fiery red evening gown she wore also seemed to have lost its former luster, appearing somewhat cheap. Halfway through the gala dinner, the host announced that Prescott, in collaboration with Mr. Leo's studio, would jointly establish a young support. As the representative, I went on stage with Leo. Under the spotlight, I stood shoulder to shoulder with him. The way he looked at me was warm and focused, with undisguised admiration. Ms. Grace not only possesses business acumen but also a deep respect and passion for art. It is an honor to collaborate with you, Leo said on stage. Thunderous applause erupted from the audience. I saw Tiffany clutching her wine glass tightly, her knuckles white from the force. After the gala dinner, Leo drove me home. You don't seem to feel any sympathy for them at all, he suddenly said in the car. I knew who he was referring to. I shook my head. Why should I feel sympathy? They chose their own paths. Marcus chose profit, so he must bear the consequences of that profit shattering. Tiffany chose to plunder, so she must endure the fate of being discarded. That's fair. Leo smiled. You're even more insightful than I imagined. The car stopped at the entrance of the Prescott. He opened the car door for me and extended his hand like a gentleman. As I was about to get out, I saw a familiar figure standing in the shadows not far away. It was Marcus. He looked even more destitute than last time, wearing a worn trench coat, his eyes hollow as he gazed in the direction of my home. Seeing me get out of Leo's car, his body suddenly stiffened, and flames of jealousy and resentment instantly ignited in his eyes. He rushed over and grabbed my wrist. Who is he? Grace, have you already found someone new so quickly? His grip was strong, squeezing my wrist painfully. Leo stepped forward, shielding me behind him, and said in a deep voice, Mr. Marcus, please let go. This is between her and me. You have no business interfering. Marcus roared, his voice wild. Grace, tell me, were you already with him? Is that why you were so cruel to me? I forcefully pulled my hand away, my gaze as cold as ice. Marcus, haven't you made enough of a scene? I looked at him, a defeated dog, feeling not a shred of pity, only disgust. Who I'm with is my business, and it has nothing to do with you. You were the one who said I was a bound puppet unworthy of you. Now, please take your pride and stay far away from me. No, that's not it, Grace, I was wrong. I was infatuated at the time, he explained frantically, trying to grab me again. You're the only one I've ever loved, always. Tiffany. She was just a diversion while you were gone. Just then, the door to the mansion opened. My father walked out, followed by 2 bodyguards. Seeing his face darkened. Marcus, you dare to show your face here again? Get him out. The bodyguards immediately stepped forward, grabbing Marcus by each arm. Grace, give me another chance. Marcus struggled and roared, unwilling to give up. I swear, I'll rebuild Sterling, and I'll make you the happiest Mrs. Sterling in the world. I watched indifferently as he was dragged away, until his voice faded into the night. I turned, forcing a faint smile for Leo, who looked concerned. Sorry you had to witness that scene. Leo shook his head, his gaze gentle. It wasn't a joke. I just saw a phoenix rise from the ashes. Marcus's relentless pursuit didn't end there. After being thrown out by my father, he started trying to contact me through various means, calls, texts, even asking old friends to relay messages. Without exception, they were all apologies and pleas for reconciliation. I ignored them all. In my opinion, his heartfelt declarations were nothing but a desperate last attempt. He didn't miss me, he missed the status of being the sole heiress of the Prescott family, someone who could bring him glory and support. As his rejections mounted, his obsessive tendencies gradually surfaced. He started to follow me, showing up like a phantom downstairs at my company, on my way home, and even when Leo and I were surveying the construction site for the towers. His presence bothered Leo and utterly exasperated me. Finally, on a rainy day, I had Lena pull the car over, and I walked up to Marcus, holding an umbrella. He was drenched and disheveled, but when he saw me, his eyes lit up with wild joy. Grace, you finally agreed to see me. This is the last time, I said, looking at him coldly. Marcus, drop your ridiculous act. Do you really think I don't know that while you're pestering me relentlessly, you're also contacting Tiffany's father, hoping to get financial aid from the Ching family through her? His face instantly stiffened, and the light in his eyes faded. I sneered, you're trying to have it both ways, wanting everything. Too bad you won't get anything. The family has already blacklisted you, and there's no way I'm ever coming back to you. Everything I've done, it was all for us. I'll do anything to make Sterling rise again, he argued passionately. Us? I cut him off. There hasn't been an us for a long time. Not since the moment you put that necklace around Tiffany's neck. I closed my umbrella, letting the cold rain hit my face, and his. Look closely, Marcus. Everything I have now, I've earned myself. It has nothing to do with you. Prescott invested in the towers because it's valuable. I support young artists because I love art. I'm collaborating with Mr. Leo because we share the same vision. My world no longer needs the title of Mrs. Sterling to prove my worth. I took a check from my bag, signed it, and handed it to him. Here's $1 million. Consider it my last act of pity, for old time's sake. Take it, leave Sterling City, and don't let me see you again. This was, without a doubt, the ultimate humiliation. He had once been a golden boy, and now he was forced to accept charity from his ex-girlfriend. Marcus stared intently at the check, his body trembling uncontrollably. His pride, his self-respect, were utterly shattered by me in that moment. Grace, he croaked, his eyes bloodshot. Do you have to be so ruthless? You were the one who was ruthless first, I said expressionlessly, stuffing the check into his trench coat pocket. Fend for yourself. With that, I turned and got back into the car, telling the driver to drive off. In the rearview mirror, Marcus's figure grew smaller and smaller in the rain. He never picked up the rain-soaked check, just stood there for a long time, like a statue. After that, I never saw Marcus again. I heard he eventually sold all his shares in Sterling, paid off his enormous debts, and left Sterling City with what little money he had left, vanishing without a trace. As for Tiffany, after losing all her prestige, she also disappeared from Sterling City's high society. Some said her father sent her abroad, while others claimed she married an obscure businessman and wasn't living a happy life. None of that concerned me anymore. A year later, the Towers was officially completed. On the day of the opening ceremony, all of Sterling City's socialites and business elite gathered. As the representative of Prescott and the overall head of the project, I stood beneath the brilliant lights and delivered my speech. The Tower's completion is not just the birth of a building, but the realization of a dream. It will become Sterling City's new artistic landmark, providing a platform for exchange and display for all who love life and pursue art. My voice was steady and confident, carried throughout the venue by the microphone. Below the stage, my parents sat in the front row, their eyes filled with relief and pride. Leo stood not far away, smiling as he watched me, his gaze as warm as it had been when we first met. After the ceremony, Leo and I walked side by side through the sky-high art gallery on the top floor. The gallery showcased many works by young artists, vibrant and full of life. It's truly beautiful, Leo said with genuine admiration, though he wasn't looking at the art, but at me. I smiled. Yes, it's even better than I imagined. I'm returning to Europe next week, he suddenly said. I paused, turning to look at him. So soon? Yes, there are several projects waiting for me there, he said, looking at me with a hint of reluctance and anticipation in his eyes. Grace, would you be willing to come with me? To see the sunset over the Seine, to gaze at the Florence night sky? This was undoubtedly an invitation, perhaps even a confession. I looked into his sincere eyes, feeling completely at ease. Over the past year, he had been by my side through the most challenging times. We were the most harmonious partners at work and the most compatible compagnie in life. I didn't answer immediately. Instead, I pointed to a painting in the distance and said softly, "Look at that painting, it's called Rebirth." On the canvas, a phoenix spread its wings in raging flames, its feathers vibrant, its gaze resolute. A year ago, I thought I'd lost everything. But now I understand that all I lost was a set of shackles, I said, turning to meet his gaze, a bright smile gracing my lips. As for your invitation, I think I'll need a little time to consider. However, I'm very much looking forward to seeing those sights you mentioned with my own eyes. His eyes instantly lit up with a brilliant sparkle, like the Florence night sky. The evening breeze swept by, stirring my long hair. I leaned against the railing, gazing down at the countless lights of the city below. Marcus, Tiffany, those people and events were all water under the bridge. I was no longer the Prescott heiress who needed to depend on anyone, nor was I anyone's future Mrs. Sterling. I was Grace, the creator of the Towers, the future leader of Prescott. I had finally become the person Marcus, even in his prime, was out of his league with. And my own, more expansive and brilliant life, was just beginning. Thank you for listening to today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts and opinions in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.